Fox News alert on a make or break day for the Biden agenda, as two of his biggest legislative priorities hang by just a thread on Capitol Hill. That's the social policy package and the infrastructure bill. But now divisions within the president's own party are threatening to blow it all up, which could do serious damage to his presidential legacy. This is Outnumbered. I'm Kayleigh McEnany. I'm joined by my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Emily Compagno in Nashville, Tennessee, host of Kennedy on Fox Business Kennedy, and in the center virtual seat, Fox News analyst Juan Williams. Just hours before the showdown on Capitol Hill, the president made a surprise appearance at last night's congressional baseball game, getting mixed reactions with cheers coming from the Democrat side and a chorus of boos from the Republican.
There he is. President Biden making an appearance here.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, Democrats from opposite ends of the party spelling trouble for his agenda. Far-left progressives are threatening to tank the $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill to pressure the moderates, who are then blocking the even bigger $3.5 trillion social spending plan that many say would expand the welfare state. You think? Senator Manchin calling it fiscal insanity and adding this just moments ago.
I cannot accept our economy or basically our society moving towards an entitlement mentality that you're entitled, okay? I'm more of a rewarding because I can help those who really need help if those who can help themselves do so.
But House Speaker Pelosi vowing to get it done and refusing to delay today's vote on the infrastructure bill.
I plan on moving forward in a positive way. Let me just tell you about negotiating. At the end, that's when you really have to weigh in. You cannot tire. You cannot concede. This is the fun part.
With our money.
Yeah, that's right. Juan, my friend, good to have you. I can't help but think your party's in free fall between Afghanistan, now these bills jeopardized, inflation, immigration, you name it. It just feels like Democrats are in total disarray.
I don't think so, but I will say this to you, Kayleigh. I think that, you know that old saying, the darkest hour is before the dawn? Right now, Democrats are praying for any sign of dawn. This is a very dark moment in terms of the negotiations on Capitol Hill. And what you get is, I think that there's going to be a continuing resolution voted on. I think that will get to the president's desk, so we will not, I don't think, have a government shutdown. But in terms of the larger negotiation that you're focused on today, I think what you see is Democrats now are in a position where they're going to likely see that bill go down today. But Pelosi has to have the vote because the moderates want a vote on the bipartisan infrastructure deal, and they deserve that vote. But the progressives are not going to go along. So now is when you really start. This is really the beginning of negotiations, serious negotiations about the size of that bill. And we're going to have to see if you can get from Senator Manchin, Senator Sinema, real numbers about what they could buy in the Senate in terms of the size of that, what is now a $3.5 trillion, bill. But, without Republican support in the House, the bipartisan bill had support in the Senate, but none in the House. So now I expect that bill to go down today.
Yeah, Juan says the dark before the dawn, Harris, but I can't help but think when you have 42% in a left-wing Quinnipiac poll, that's Biden's approval, I don't see the dawn on the horizon here.
Well, I don't see the upside. Like, he's got to win on something. And if he loses on the bipartisan infrastructure bill, it isn't just the fact that Americans don't get the infrastructure that they need across the country, and that's horrible enough. But as Joe Manchin was saying moments ago, Senator Manchin from West Virginia, part of the issue here is that it will be on people in his own party that sink it.
Yeah.
And where do they go from there? He's like, look, it's not on me. I know what I'm going to do today. It's on them. You don't often hear party members talking. I remember the Tea Party when they came along. You didn't hear, that I recall, there was obviously a lot of acrimony at times between them, but it was an us when it came to going against the political person across the aisle, right? Yeah. You're hearing a they and a them from the top of the food chain in the Senate. Like that's rare among Democrats. So where are they going with all of this? And then the big problem is inflation. You can't run away from it. You and I were talking in the commercial break about what Senator Manchin brought up. The dollar store having to sell above $1.50 for its goods now. You got to change the name of the store? I mean, your experience when you go to the dollar store, America's arguably one of those top 3 most popular retailers in our country. What's it going to be next? Walmart Plus?
Yeah.
I mean, inflation is real. It's real when a loaf of bread costs as much as it does right now.
It's going to be even more real when you pass nearly $5 trillion in more spending. Kennedy, one thing I've noticed, it's really interesting. Manchin did not flex his muscles for a while. You know, he caved on the election integrity bill. He was, you know, in essence, walking in Joe Biden's shadow. But for the first time, you have Joe Manchin, you know, more powerful, it seems, than the sitting president of the United States enduring multiple crises, as the rest of America does alongside him.
The thing that I think is really interesting about Joe Manchin is he's very soft-spoken. And you're absolutely right. He's also obviously an adept political player, and he knows that he is still a member of the Democrat Party, but he is beholden to his constituents, to the voters of West Virginia, and he has to go back to them in a red state. And there's no way, if he wants to be reelected again, he can, in good conscience, vote for this kind of spending. And to his point, and he's being honest here, we can't afford the spending that we've already got. And, you know, when you have the debt to GDP ratio sitting at 125%, you know, it's gone up about 60% in the last 12 years. That is a number that is absolutely unsustainable. We have so much unfunded liability that there's no way you can pile trillions more on top of that, especially when, you know, Republicans are also allergic to cutting spending the way they should in order to keep growing the economy. What I absolutely love here is the rift between progressives and moderates, because the more there's a rift, the less that gets spent, and that is better for the economy. So I'm not just throwing in kernels of popcorn, Harris. I'm dumping the whole thing on my face.
Love it. Speaking on that rift, Emily, Senator Marco Rubio, boy, did he say it best. Let's roll the tape.
Yeah, look, I mean, they have an internal party problem, right? They have these radical left-wing nutcases who basically want it to be 7 trillion, not 3.5 trillion, and they think 3.5 trillion is the compromise. And then you got a handful of people that haven't gone Marxist yet, who aren't necessarily conservatives or anything of that nature, but they're sort of more normal in their view of what government's role in our country should be, and they're pushing back.
That's right, Emily. The moderates, more normal, haven't gone Marxist just yet.
Well, look, the greater perspective here is what is so important, and it's frightening. We pay these people's salaries, and their inability to get anything done, anything together whatsoever, just costs us more. So remember back in 2011 when the United States credit rating was lowered from AAA to AA. That lowered credit rating costs us, this tax dollars, $1.3 billion per year in added borrowing costs. Borrowing from who? China is our biggest banker, as we know. They have $1.1 trillion in debt. And that same cast of characters, by the way, this same group of people, these decrepit people, these elected officials whose salaries we pay, are the ones that couldn't get it together back then and can't keep getting it together every year in every administration. But debt and fiscal responsibility is bipartisan, and these issues exceed and succeed every single administration and every single election cycle. And yet these guys keep getting voted in, and they keep trying to force the conversation onto micro issues. They're trying to dodge attention away from the fact that private and industry loans, that's tied to Treasury yields. They're trying to divert attention away from the fact that all of this is connected to bloated pensions, and payouts are connected to these dwindling cash reserves. Kennedy laid it out perfectly that we simply don't have the money for this, and China essentially has any modicum of integrity we hold in their purse. So it remains to be seen what's going to happen this cycle, but I frankly am sick of talking about it every single time. And as a federal managing attorney, when I handed out the furlough papers and had to deal with all of this every single time, the amount of wasted resources on our part because of these guys, and then they come on and say they're sound bites, it's just ridiculous. We deserve and we pay for better.
Yeah, very well said, Emily. And I also think Punchbowl said it best this morning. They said, you have a president trying to pass FDR-like legislation without an FDR-like majority. President Biden, maybe you need a reminder. You have the slimmest majority of any president in modern history. Don't forget it.